Welcome back to the O'Day and Night podcast. I'm your host, Adam O'Day, and I've got a very special guest on with me, the man, the myth, the legend, Connor Hibbett. Connor, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, Adam. It's been a pretty special night for this special guy. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, thanks for joining me. So I'll just go ahead and jump right in. Bowl season is in full swing. Had some absolute chaos yesterday. Talk to
Oh
me a little bit about that South Carolina State and Prairie View game.
gosh, man. I think I am cursed in the Celebration Bowl. I have not won that bowl game since pre-COVID quarantine.
Beautiful.
It's been since 2019, and then I had a little bit easier at that time because North Carolina A&T was great back then. They had won three consecutive HBCU national championships in the Celebration Bowl, but that's the last time I won that game. So yeah, talking about that
Yeah.
South Carolina State and Prairie View A&M game. Oh my gosh, that was heartbreaking for Prairie View A&M. And I also want to give a shout out to Prairie View because typically they're not a very good football program. They really struggled before our time back in the 90s. But they've really turned it around. They had a huge breakthrough season this year. They're filled with a lot of sophomores and juniors, so they could be a really, really good team next year and potentially be like at that elite category. Because I don't think a lot of people were expecting Prairie View A&M to be this good, obviously.
Right.
So perhaps they were a year early with this. We'll see. But man, it was just so heartbreaking for them because they were up 21 to nothing going into the second half and early third quarter. Uh, it was South Carolina State that got the ball to start the second half, and they may have gotten one first down, they may have had a three and out, but they didn't do anything essentially. They had to punt the ball right back to Prairie View, and Prairie View gets a first down, and then they get cute offensively and they turn the ball over. And a couple plays later, South Carolina State scores a touchdown. It's 21-7. But when you watched Prairie View's body language following those couple sequence of events, they just never looked the same. And Prairie View had so many chances to win that game late in the fourth quarter, in overtime, and the only lead that South Carolina State had the entire game was in the last overtime period. And they got the ball first in the fourth overtime. South Carolina State did. They scored the 2 point conversion as they do starting in the third OT. And then South Carolina State's defense got the stop. So Prairie View, I mean, you could argue that they blew the game, but I mean, those HBCU national championships are typically down to the wire finishes, and that one was as well. But yeah, Adam, I really feel like I'm cursed in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, and just looking at the box score, I didn't have the chance to watch this game, but when you see 40 to 38, like your mind immediately goes, okay, this was a shootout. Players on both offenses just getting after it. And for Prairie View, especially for their quarterback, Cameron Peters, like yeah, those stats back it up. But I mean, South Carolina State, their quarterback, nothing special, barely completed over half his passes, and their leading rusher was a guy named Jordan Smith. 5 carries for 28 yards.
I believe that's their number five.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of their receivers. He was awesome in the slot mostly. They would run some of those sweeps with him. I mean, he was a great athlete, but neither team could establish the ground game. I mean, the score obviously higher scoring game by the end of things, but really, both defenses stepped up at certain points. I mean, in the first half, Prairie View's defense was all over the field. They have some good speed, especially in their secondary. I think it might be the best secondary in the HBCU overall. And then in the second half, South Carolina State's defense really stepped it up. But Adam, when I was saying earlier that Prairie View got really cute in the third quarter offensively, they got cute with the football, a little too cute. Oh my gosh, dude. So they just picked up a first down. They have complete control of the game, up 21 nothing. I think there was like maybe 4 or 5 minutes gone through in the third quarter. And they run a end around with one of their receivers, and then he was about to toss it back. I think they were going to run a double end around. And as he's about to toss it, the first receiver to toss it for the second part of the end for the second end around, an interior defensive lineman tackles him behind the line of scrimmage, disrupts the play, forces a fumble. South Carolina State recovers, returns it about 15 yards or so to set up a first and goal. And ever since that point, I'm like, Prairie View. I mean, you're up 3 scores at that point, so you're not thinking first thing that they already blew it. But I could tell that that gave South Carolina State a little bit of life because they had zero life before that. So I know it's crazy to say early in the second half, with what I'm about to say, but I think had Prairie View not called that play, I think Prairie View wins the game.
Oh, for sure. And again, going back to that box score, but looks like really both of these teams kind of lived in the backfield, at least at certain points. 8 total TFLs for South Carolina State and 4 sacks, 9 total TFLs for Prairie View. But I mean, evidently didn't get the TFL when it mattered most.
Right. Oh, and I should also say South Carolina State made that comeback all in the second half with their backup quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah, their starting
Wow.
quarterback, I think it's Atkins, formerly at James Madison. He got hurt towards the end of the first half, and going into the locker room, they showed Atkins on the sideline and I think it was his shoulder that he injured, his throwing shoulder, but he was clearly out for the remainder of the game. So his name is escaping me right now, but give the backup quarterback for South Carolina State all the credit in the world because he didn't look great in his first couple of series, but he flipped the switch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looks like Ryan Stubblefield came in in
That's
relief.
right.
15 of 29. So not the most efficient day, but 234 yards and 2 scores, 8.1 yards per. So not terrible. Good enough to win.
Yeah, I mean those games are oftentimes not the cleanest played of games. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty sloppy play, but that gives South Carolina State all the credit in the world. They found a way to come back and somehow, some way, won that game.
Oh, 100%. Now jumping up to the FBS level, got Boise State and Washington. Uh, so I'm a fool. I was half asleep when I made my Bowlmania picks and forgot to hit the little save button. I picked Washington and I'm pretty sure I had them fairly high confidence, but obviously didn't save, so
Hmm. Did you have it
but
around 40?
it was at least 20.
It was
Uh
at least 20. Okay.
yeah. But just complete dominance by the Huskies, 38 to 10. That second quarter outscored Boise 21 to 0. Like it's hard enough to get 21 and a half, much less 15 minutes. Uh,
Right.
but
Yeah, both of the bowl games yesterday, at least in the Bowl Mania app, featured quarters in which one team scored at least 21 points. South Carolina State in the third quarter, and then Washington in the second quarter of their respective game. So just wackiness. Um, Washington, yeah, I mean they were clearly the better team. Uh, and this season's Boise State was not quite as strong as they typically are. I mean, they won their third straight Mountain West championship. They are different than the other Mountain West programs, no doubt about that. But they weren't as good nationally as they typically are. And then Washington, quite frankly, man, I think Washington's been an underrated team all year by the metrics. They haven't looked on par with tier one of the Big Ten against Ohio State and Oregon. They had a tough loss against Wisconsin on the road. It was ugly weather, but I mean, no excuses to lose to Wisconsin this year if you're Washington. But it was a good bounce back year for Washington, and they could be a really good team next year because they're a young team. And Adam, their quarterback, Damon Williams, I know you've heard me talk about him. He is the real deal.
oh, 100%. He had 215 through the air, 4 touchdowns, and 16 yards on 12 carries. Obviously, sacks factoring in, but still not a bad day.
No,
Not a
and
bad day.
Denzel Boston, number 12, the receiver for Washington. He's probably going to be a late first round, early second round NFL draft pick this year. He is a stud. he only had two drop passes all season, including one against Boise in the
Wow.
bowl game. And then Washington actually wasn't fully healthy. Boise had a couple opt-outs, so I'll look at both teams with that side there, or with that perspective there. But with Washington, they didn't really have a healthy running back room going into this game. Their starting running back, Jonah Coleman, was kind of banged up, but I think he still ended up with over 80 rushing yards or so. So
Yeah, 85 yards in one store on 7.1 yards a carry.
yeah, he had a couple of big carries on the outside, and you could tell though Coleman like wasn't healthy. He wasn't 100%. I would say he looked at like 75, 80%, which is good enough with his ability. I think he'll be an NFL draft pick as well. He's a really tough runner, has really good, low leverage to the ground, has good balance, can break tackles in the open field. He's just a good overall running back. He's good out of the backfield in the screen game as well. But yeah, Washington was they just outclassed Boise State. It was one of the less than probably five or six matchups this bowl season outside of a couple of the first round playoff games that truly feature mismatches.
Oh, for sure. And so Boise threw a combined five interceptions, three from Max Cutforth and two from Maddox Madsen. So what did you see out of that Washington secondary and maybe their pass rush as well to just
Washington's pass rush has been about what I thought it would be this year, maybe slightly underwhelming. But they were decent, but really, I just don't think Boise's quarterbacks are all that great. I mean, Madsden, he was a game manager last year, but if I'm not mistaken, they had a pretty good running back last year, Boise did, to help carry that offense.
yeah, may or may not be doing pretty well in the NFL right now.
Right. So he's been a game manager. Madsen has really his whole career. And typically against Mountain West opponents, he manages the game well, doesn't make a ton of mistakes. But when Boise has had to go up against upper echelon competition in the non-conference, South Florida to start the year on the road, Notre Dame in South Bend, and then now Washington in the bowl game, he just has not looked like your typical Boise quarterback. I thought the Boise offensive line actually did an okay job in pass protection. They didn't do a great job in the run blocking, but to be fair, Washington's defensive line, while they're not like Texas Tech's defensive line where they can create a ton of havoc, they do have some pretty good interior defensive linemen that are good at stopping the run. They're really good at clogging the A and the B gaps. So Washington, I think, averages giving up less than 100 rushing yards per game on the season. So no fault to Boise really in that aspect, but Boise just doesn't have the passing game overall, and their receiving core. They don't really have any great receivers. They had the former high four star that was a former A&M Aggie who transferred to Boise a couple years ago. He struggled. His name is escaping me right now, but he struggles with drops. He had a few drops against Washington, so
Yeah, yeah. Uh, looks like none of Boise's players went over 100 yards. The closest they could get was Chris Marshall, who went 5 for 97, did not find
that's
the end zone. But
yeah, that's the guy I'm thinking of. So he
yeah,
had a couple of big catches, but he had a few drops. If he was consistent at catching the football, he would have had probably like 130, 140 yards receiving. But
right.
he's the most talented receiver, but I think the highest floor receiver for Boise is probably the Caples guy.
Yeah,
Uh, but Boise, man, they were just outclassed. I mean, you can certainly make the case where if they don't have all the turnovers, if they tackled better on defense, which has been a struggle for Boise this year, tackling on the defensive side of the football, not giving up a wide open 65-yard touchdown reception to Denzel Boston in the second quarter. I mean, no one was in 20 yards of Boston on that play. So if they didn't, mess up and screw up as much, you could argue that Boise keeps this game within like three touchdowns maybe and
right.
loses in more respectable fashion, I guess. But Washington was still just the better team.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Going through the defensive stats right now, looks like Washington had four total TFLs compared to shockingly seven from Boise.
Yep. I
Yeah,
would say the strength for Boise, especially in the first half, was getting pressure on Damon Williams. Now, Williams, being the great athlete that he is, he's going to make you miss, and he's going to get, yards when you think he's going to get tackled for a 4 or 5 yard loss. Damon gets to the outside and gets 7 or 8 yards. He does that all the time, but he was sacked a few times as well. I think the Boise linebackers played all right, but and they got decent pressure from time to time, but that's about the only positive I can say for Boise.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And just now shifting down to the Division Two level, gotta give a shout out to the all-time team leading rusher, regardless of division, the Harding Bisons. No bias here. My brother definitely does not play for them. Wink, wink. But they are headed to the Division Two National Championship. Touchdown over in Pennsylvania on Saturday, 49 to 27, and this was the one game on Saturday that I w was able to watch, and it was not 49 to 27 close. Harding was in control the entire game, gave up a couple garbage time touchdowns, but uh, man, the Bisons ran for nearly 400 yards.
My
Uh,
goodness.
to so 2 years ago, Harding won the D2 national championship, ran for over 6,100 yards, which at the time shattered the NCAA record, regardless of division. And they did that in 15 games.
Wow.
So last Saturday, uh, I believe it was the December 6th, they took down UT Permian Basin and broke the record with over 6,300 yards in game number 14.
They broke their own record.
They did in one fewer game.
That's incredible. That's incredible. An absolute dynasty over there.
Oh, 100%. Um, they've got to go up against Ferris State, who is the reigning D2 national champs. And they've won three of the last four, obviously, the one being Harding 2 years ago. But uh, that'll be over in McKinney. So if anybody listening to this, uh, all two people that watch this, if y'all are in DFW, 3 p.m. on the 20th, get to McKinney ISD Stadium. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna make sure to educate everybody I can on the Flexbone. So
There you go. So Ferris State is the home of Trinidad Chambliss, correct?
correct, yes.
Okay.
Supposedly his mom was at their semifinal game the other day,
There you
which
go.
I want to say he's from that general area, but
I can look it up. I'm not sure.
yes, he is from Grand Rapids, Michigan, where Ferris is located.
Okay.
But yeah, Ferris, they I saw the stat earlier. They are averaging 53 points a game, um, including one game in which they were favored by, I want to say 90 back in September. They,
By 90? They
yeah,
were favored by 90?
yeah. I mean, they didn't cover the spread, but they won 76 to 0.
Oh, wow.
But
That's
yeah,
wild laying 90.
yeah. But from what I've seen out of them, they, outside of that 76 to 0 win, they've looked a bit more human. They turned the ball over twice in their semifinal game against Newberry. I mean, still won that game 49 to 17 because Ferris forced six turnovers. But
Goodness.
if we're only looking at the playoffs, um, they took down Northwood in the first round, 65 to 14, which is the first round. Like you're gonna see. plenty of blowouts in the first round. Uh, Touchdown Ashland in the second round, 56 to 24. Ferris, these two teams were tied up 14-14 at the end of the first quarter. Uh,
Wow.
but I mean, it's Ferris State. They've been there, done that. And outside of Harding, outside of Grand Valley State, who is in the same conference as Ferris, most other teams nationwide don't really have that championship pedigree. And then quarterfinals, they took down Minnesota State Mankato, who again had Ferris kind of on the ropes a little bit. Minnesota State had a 7-3 lead after one. Ferris ended up coming alive in the second quarter, made it 24 to 14 at half, but I mean Ferris State is Ferris State. So ended up winning that one 52 to 29. But yeah, should be an exciting game.
Riding the
Ferris,
Ferris wheel.
yeah. I mean, I won't ask you to make a game pick for this one since you're the D1 encyclopedia, but I mean, I'm gonna make a pick. I'm gonna have to go with Ferris. They took down this Harding team 41 to 7 last year in the quarterfinals, but I mean, it's hard to beat the flex bone, so I highly doubt it'll be another 41 to 7 type of performance. So,
Do you think Harding can play in a phone booth to play like their make Ferris play their style of football where it's a close game in the fourth quarter and Harding has a chance to win?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'd be surprised if this game was decided by double digits.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Harden's not a guy who uh is a nominee and a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is the D2 equivalent of the Heisman. Guy by the name of Andrew Miller. He ran for, let me pull up the box score here. Saturday, he ran for 157 yards, and a very slight four touchdowns.
Very
Uh,
slight.
yeah, let me pulling up his season stats right now. Um, so after Saturday's game, Andrew Miller is at 1,978 yards and the school record 27 touchdowns. And not too terribly far behind is a guy by the name of Braden Jay, their Harding's home run hitter. 1,462 yards and 22 touchdowns. So the previous school record was 24 touchdowns rushing. So in theory, we could have two separate Bisons break that record.
Man, that's
But
crazy. How many times does Harding pass per game?
it's a good question. They only passed once, um, this past weekend, but on the year, they have thrown the ball 59 times. Uh, their starting quarterback, 27 of 47, two touchdowns, one pick. But I mean, he's
Doing
a
doing he's
he,
managing.
he is, but he's such a tough runner. Like,
He's one of one when it comes to toughness. I mean, the young man just tied the all-time record for wins as a starting quarterback. He's 51-4 in his career. He really is the ultimate teammate. I mean, it matters so much to him not to let his teammates down no matter what. And I told him a month ago, I said, the rest of your life to heal up. And he's like, Coach, yeah, absolutely, amen. Let's rip.
That's the kind of guy you need running that offense. You don't need the flashiest kind of guy. You need someone that can, first of all, play smart football, play your brand of football, and someone who can be tough, both physically and mentally. Because if you've got someone like that, especially as a quarterback, it can really help lift the others up around him. So it's great to have a quarterback like that.
oh, 100%. I'd equate him to like almost a Tyler Perry type of guy, or a JJ Murray for UNT basketball. Um, both guys very capable scorers, but especially Perry. But if they needed to make that one extra pass, they could easily do that. Just a bunch of studs. But yeah, and I mean, really, that's all I had. Any closing thoughts, Mr. CFE?
Um, do you want to give like a hot take or two for the rest of bowl season?
Yeah, here's my hot take. Ohio State does not win it all. I mean, outside of them, it's really anybody's field. But I mean, I just don't see Ohio State winning it all this year.
I feel similarly. Who would you pick right now to win it all?
As much as I want to say either A&M or Tech, it's not going to be either one of those teams. I'd probably have to go with Oregon. They've they're great. They're a great team, so.
I think I am gonna go with the dogs to bark again. I'm gonna go Georgia.
Woo, woo, woo.
I'll give another hot take, and I think you're gonna like this one, and you might agree with it as well. I'm gonna take Army to beat UConn.
Yes, I agree.
I
I
I
very much agree.
I think Army might win that game convincingly as well.
Wow. I mean,
I
I've
know I know Army's played in a lot of close games this year, so they ha typically haven't won by margin. I just I don't have a whole lot of faith in UConn's preparation for this bowl game,
same.
nor do I have a lot of confidence in their star players playing in this game. In fact, I already know a couple of their star players offensively are not going to play in this game. And I think Army is going to be able to run the football on UConn's defense. UConn's defense line is not all that great. And I don't know what UConn's mentality is going to be like with their head coach now at Colorado State,
Yeah.
Mora and Army. You want to talk about a team that is always mentally and physically prepared for a bowl game? Army is. Navy as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, Army has been Jeff. I'm going blank on his last name right now.
All right, Munkin.
Thank you. He always gets his teams ready to play. I mean, I don't know how many consecutive bowl games he's won, but he's done very well in the postseason for Army. So, I think Army wins that game decisively.
Very. Like, I definitely feel like it'll be close, but Army's just the tougher team. Like, they don't have any NIL, any like transfer portal guys, but like, I mean, they've still got that continuity with their head coach, with just their team camaraderie versus like, I mean, like you were saying, UConn's head coach is gone and a good chunk of their players are either just sitting out or already in the portal. So,
Yeah. I'll give a score prediction.
yeah,
I definitely think Army controls the pace of the game. I would think they're going to win the time of possession battle as well. How many points though does Army ultimately put up? That's what I'm struggling a little bit more with. But I'll go 28, 14, maybe 28-17. But I think Army is in control, and maybe UConn gets like a late touchdown or something like that. But I think Army is in control of the game from start to finish, and I think they win by at least 10 points or so.
oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have to go 24-17. I
Okay.
don't fully trust this Army defense, regardless of who they're playing. It reminds me a little bit, obviously to a lesser degree, of UNT last year and the year before. Just uh, can't get the clutch stop, but yeah, definitely. I definitely see Army winning this game.
Yeah, and with UConn not having their quarterback there, and I think their star receiver is also going to opt out of the bowl game. UConn's is so. I mean, that's about 60% of their offense. Well, more. It's like that's like uh, almost three-quarters of their offense with those two guys right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Army wins.
Oh, for sure.